We've done demonstration projects with solar. There's one at the bottom is, there's all sorts of ways to do it. One at the bottom is the panels actually float on water because the panels are cooler, told they're more efficient. The one on the right, those panels also move with the sun. And this one on the left is it's like a solar furnace. It concentrates the heat from the sun onto a helium engine, actually. And then tying in, part of my day job is doing the interconnections for large-scale solar and wind projects. In the last couple of weeks, there's been 2 large projects approved in Bureau Valley, about 500 megawatts. That they will be ready by the summer. My deadline is to have our facility ready by the end of December for them. Got 26 megawatts coming into Borrego. We're building the addition to our substation so that the third party can connect. That will be up and running actually in around July or August, so that'll be a welcome addition.
Is that on the new line?
A new line?
Is that going to be on a new line?
No, it's all on existing infrastructure. The substation in Borrego Springs, we did enlarge, but no new transmission lines. Microgrid, this is also in Borrego Springs. Borrego is literally at the end of the line for our electric system. And so their reliability is unfortunately terrible because there's only one transmission line that serves them. And so everywhere else has at least 2 transmission lines serving it. Rancho Bernardo area, there's actually 4 that serve Rancho Bernardo substation off RB Road. So if you're at the end of one transmission line and there's a problem, you're not getting anything. So we've worked with the community out there, putting in a microgrid. So there's a 2 megawatt diesel fire generation with sophisticated emission control equipment, battery storage, and so we will be able to sustain part of the community when that transmission line has an outage. And eventually we'd like to tie in solar out there also. So again, that's something where it's both providing a service for that community to improve their reliability, and it's a test bed for us to learn how we can adapt our system to meet tomorrow's needs. So our vision is in collaboration with key stakeholders, which is all of you and everyone else we've talked about today, create the foundation for an innovative, connected, and sustainable energy future for all customers. So that's the end of our show, but if there's more questions, we'll be glad to answer them. And Robin, we've probably taken up more time of your group than might have liked.
The audience was asking good questions. But I do have a question about the substation in RV. It's right next to the Arco gas station. And I've lived here for 37 years.
Yes.
So I lived here forever. Yes. But what sort of precautionary measures are taken in the event of a fire, since we're right next to the Arco gas station, that substation, and it's underneath the 2, isn't it?
No, the Bernardo substation.
Oh, that's not the one.
No, if you go about halfway to Forest.
Oh, so I'm thinking, yes. I know which one. I'm thinking of something else then. Okay.
Yes. There is something near that corner,
yes.
but it's not ours. I don't know whose it is, but I know it's not mine.
It used to be close to where the old Forest Ranch fire station was. It's over that way.
Yeah. I think that might be an AT&T facility. That's by Arco, but I'm not. Don't quote me. I'm not really sure.
Never mind.
I pass it every day of the week. But
I love the answer.
any other questions? Oh, yes, sir.
In addition to the arrays people are putting on the roofs, have you seen conservation? I mean, people without the arrays. Can you see conservation? People conserving?
We can.
Is it substantial? I think it would be substantial in the last couple of years. No?
It's been a tremendous change since the 80s. 80s and 90s were a lot of energy efficiency programs went in and are still there. But we have seen the average usage by an average house increase, in spite of that conservation. And and I mean all of us in the state, although our consumption per person in the state's lower than other states, so at least we're doing something better. But we've taken up that void with big screen TVs, all these little chargers, you know, for our phones. Each one only uses a little. So consumption has, on a per household basis, has gone up, and I shudder to think what it would have been without all the conservation programs we've done.
Well, the old rule of thumb used to be 1 megawatt is 1,000 homes. It's down to like 670 today.
It was down to 670. It's back around 800 now.
It's up to 800?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, kind of more, because conservation
Yes,
saves power plants.
yeah. So it's a challenge. Yes.
One more question. On the smart meters, when you said you could go in there, like shut off a pool pump or something, do you log in your like SDGE account, or how do you?
Oh no, the consumer can't shut anything off.
Oh, okay.
But you can see your energy usage and graph it.
Okay.
And in time, there may be more features where you could look at it.
Like shut off a circuit or something.
I mean, one vision, you know, if you think about that smart transmart talked about and talking to the cars, is manufacturers are thinking of, actually some have made it, smart refrigerators, smart clothes dryers, and so on, that will talk to each other and know the rates and try to help each of us use it at the most efficient time unless we decide to use it.
Override it.
Override it. Yes?
Regarding the power outage back in the fall.
September 8th, yes?
September 8th specifically. It was caused by Arizona. How is that possible that there wasn't a backup system in place, almost like a generator to human error?
Okay. I was there that night.
When he pulled the plug, you helped him?
No.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for asking that question. People might have left with the wrong impression. No, I was in my office at 3:38 on September 8th. Yes, our lights went out too in my office.
But what I guess
I'll tell you what. An error was made in Arizona. That should not have caused the whole grid to come down from Arizona to Mexico up to Orange County. It shouldn't have happened, period. And when I was answering this gentleman's question regarding how much reserve we have this summer, the system is designed that if you lose your largest transmission line and your largest single generator, you shouldn't lose one customer, not one. There's still a FERC study being done. I know it's been quite a while since September 8th, but FERC and each of the utilities involved and some other agencies, I mean, they're looking millisecond by millisecond what happened because we have all that instrumentation. And so the simple explanation is this event happened in Arizona, and there's a line from Arizona to Imperial Valley, and then from Imperial Valley to San Diego, and that imports about 1,200 megawatts. So it's on a peak day. That day wasn't that hot, but on a peak day, so that's about a quarter of the energy that we bring in. We have a connection up at Storms, not only to bring the energy from San Onofre, but we may be purchasing energy from further north of there too. So the line from Arizona to Imperial Valley, I'm sorry, the line from one point in Arizona to right before it gets to us, so that it tripped out. So now Yuma, Arizona was still connected to that 500 kV line. 500 kV line was connected to our substation in Imperial Valley. Imperial Valley was connected to generation in Mexico. Imperial Valley is connected to Imperial Irrigation District. They also draw power from that line. Imperial Irrigation District draws power from Edison. Had a chalkboard, but I mean, if you picture some lines from Palm Springs running all the way across Edison to San Onofre, and you picture it also running from Arizona across Imperial Valley into San Diego, so you've got this big loop. And so when the energy couldn't go east on our line, it went through Edison, which was fine for a while, until it started overheating things there. And it started overheating the connection from IID to Edison. So that connection tripped. Because as much as we don't want to trip customers, at a certain point, if we don't trip equipment, the equipment will burn up or fail. And then we've got a much bigger mess than a
It'll take
in
much
knowledge.
longer to replace.
Yes. So, so now IID was hanging off that 500 kV line, and so was Yuma, Arizona. And the rest of the power was screaming through the Edison system. And for electrical safety reasons, when you get to a certain point, its schema is set up to separate us from Edison. And so we separated from Edison. And somehow we still stayed up for 30 more seconds, which is the astounding part, because now we had all of San Diego, and I think Yuma was still on at that point, hanging off the generation in San Diego. And so we were almost astounded once we saw this, that the lights here didn't go off sooner. And we do have systems that when you start having a voltage problem in there, you may trip some circuits, but this all happened so fast that those couldn't operate in time. And so part of this study with FERC is, so we know the sequence of things. Everything operated the way it was designed, but obviously the exact conditions that for that afternoon, the system, the logic wasn't quite perfect. What exactly was, don't know. There also was a problem that there's different, it's called balancing areas to balance the load and the generation. So California has one big one called the California ISO, which runs the whole state except for 2 large municipal utilities. Arizona's a different one. Ventura Valley's a different one. Unfortunately, we've learned they don't talk to each other that much. And so when we lost that 500 line, the California ISO increased generation in Southern California, which is the right thing to do. But if they could have seen what was actually happening east, they might have directed us or Edison to drop 100,000 customers, which sounds terrible, but it's a whole lot better than 1.4 million. But that communications wasn't there. And what I'm telling you has been in various articles and papers. I'm not giving you any deep, dark secrets. But we haven't pieced together every piece of the puzzle yet.
So we don't know why it took 9-10 hours to get back on?
Oh, I do know that.
Okay. So, I mean, it can be avoided in the future should
Well,
somebody in Yuma pull the plug again?
It absolutely should be avoided in the future. One line going down, it shouldn't cause that problem. We have never had a total blackout of our system before.
Oh, good, another training event. Good.
Well,
That's good.
I mean,
It was short-lived, thank goodness, it didn't
Yeah.
last a bunch of days.
in all seriousness, I mean, the training we did make a difference, even though we never had that specific event. And when we do training, we simulate things as much as we can. Obviously, we're not going to shut off San Diego to see how fast we can turn it back on. We've done that on paper. And on paper, it said that it could take us as long as 24 hours. And a big concern was, as you start bringing back your system. So our 2 first priorities were bring back energy to the power plants to start them, and bring energy to the hospitals. So the two priorities. And so, when things were stable, we connected back with Edison, and then we could start routing power back down. Plus, you need to make sure that all your equipment is still fine, because it was fine when it shut off. But what if a tree fell on something while it was out? We wouldn't have known. So, you carefully turn things back on. And when we got to the point to get things on, it was going much faster than we thought it could. And part of our paper study is that we would have to send people out to turn things on circuit by circuit and use a lot of manual switches, because otherwise it'd be too large of surge from, if a whole neighbor came on, But our message got through with tweets and on the radio and on smartphones, and people shut things off in their house. I mean, everything was off, but they made sure that they wouldn't come back on when power came back on. And so we did not have to do it circuit by circuit. And so, yes, 12 hours is without electricity. It should have happened. There's no question. Were we proud of doing it in 12 hours? Yes. Do I wish we didn't have to do that? Absolutely. It was a long night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're gonna